Nothing is going to make me embrace the disaster that is climate change, like having a bunch of snot-nosed kids yelling at me about how I caused it. Oh, wait, no. It won't. This is Gene, and you're listening to Dumbasses Talking Politics. The news cycle is just going absolutely insane. I don't even know if I can keep up with it, but I have to. I have to try. Yesterday, I swear to God, there were two stories that I wasn't even going to discuss that I had to discuss, and I had to put this one on the back burner, and this one looks like it's going to be a lot longer than it was. But anyway, let's get to it. Let's talk about this climate strike thing. About 200 kids got together in Washington, D.C. this past weekend and had a climate strike. I don't know exactly what a climate strike is. I'm not sure. No one's really... I have actually searched the internet looking for an answer, and I haven't seen any. Because the last I checked, these kids actually don't produce anything. I mean, we're talking these kids were between, I don't know, I've seen 11 and 17. They don't produce anything. They're not working. Obviously, they're not working if on a Saturday or Sunday they can go out there and start yelling at us. But after watching their children's speeches, I think that the climate strike is actually just a series of speeches with a very big parachute that said, you know, we're all going to die. Or it said something. I don't know. I wasn't listening. And the little whippersnappers just start yelling into the microphone and hating their parents and adults in general. I tell you what, I created a clip. It's a little long. It's about 2 minutes. But you can see just, well, I'm going to make a rational call here. This clip is actually cut up a little bit from the Daily Caller. I have the full video on my website at www.dumbassestalkingpolitics.com. So just listen to this stuff. It's kind of trippy.
This is a fight for our lives, for our security, for all future generations to come. They want us to just sit quiet. They want us to just sit in school and learn about a future that may not exist. We are here because our generations past have put us in an unstable place. And you know what? I'm sick of hearing about their actions. I'm sick of their apologies. I'm sick of their shame. And I'm sick of the future that they put on us. Period. And it's I'm sick of it, and so are all of you. And we are not here to talk about our sacrifices and our doom and gloom and not existing. We are here to create. We are creating this movement every day because every day of inaction drives more action from us.
Hi, my name is Rosie Clemens-Cope. I'm 11 years old. We are here because our parents trashed the planet, and it's up to our generation to save it. Greta inspired me to lead walkouts at my elementary school all last spring. Because storms, floods, fires, and droughts fueled by climate change are killing people all over the globe. Our oceans are choking with trash, and the 6th mass extinction is well underway.
We hear that politicians, that baby boomers, all these people call us Generation Z, the last letter of the alphabet, because we are going to be the last generation to survive. But no, we refuse to take that. We refuse to be the last generation. We are not Generation Z. We are Generation GND, Generation Green New Deal. After coming here and witnessing the initiative that you all have taken to solve the climate crisis, my eyes have finally opened.
I'm going to try something right now, okay? So be patient with me. Don't get mad. I'm probably going to step away from the mic a little bit. I believe that capitalism is good! Capitalism is good! I believe that Democratic Republic is good! Did that work? Was that a good argument? Do you think maybe I got my point across? Oh my God, these people. I'm sorry if that really... I hope that didn't bust your speakers, but that's the point here. Is all they actually did was scream and yell and... Okay, so if I scream louder that capitalism is good, I scream louder that a democratic republic is good, is that gonna win? How about if I just started, slapping my feet and screaming that China is bad? I don't even like screaming. I don't know. I'm loud because can't hear very well. But okay, so anyway, there are a few things to get out of this. First, that it's the fault of the parents and other adults in previous generations that created this, quote, disaster, end quote, that I don't think exists. Okay, here's a newsflash. I've been hearing that we're going to die since the 70s in 10 years. It's always 10 years. Now it's 12 years. I don't know what the story is with this 10-year, 12-year thing, this decade thing, but I've been hearing about this since the 70s. They want to blame the adults. They want to blame their parents. They want to blame their parents. The ones who put food on their table, gave them shelter, that kept them clothed. They're blaming previous generations that gave them the iPhone that they could take their selfies with. And the ones that gave them Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram so they could post those selfies someplace. And they want to blame the previous generations that gave them the internet that actually allowed them to have a Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. This is just overblown BS they're spouting. Oh, by the way, I forgot. What about the text messaging? That's something the previous generation invented. And I'm sure it's the same text messaging they're using on hopping each other up on how bad on how the world's going to collapse and destroy, I don't know, go into a void, whatever the earth is going to do. The previous generations did not cause a mess. Climate changes. Is there man-made climate change? I totally agree there probably is. But these little freaking kids whining about it's not going to do anything. And we're going to get to that in just a second. Next, they gave nothing. All they did was scream and yell and stamp their feet and blame their parents and blame previous generations. They didn't talk about the science. Probably because they don't really understand the science, or they realize the science might be kind of iffy, so they don't want to talk about the science. Because here's the story. The science is a little iffy. And not to mention, they didn't give any solutions. They told us they would fix this mess, but have no ideas on how they're going to fix it. They did mention the Green New Deal, but that doesn't explain how it's going to fix anything. They didn't use reason. They restated the problem. And that doesn't help anything. And they used emotion, which got a lot of cheers, but it doesn't do anything. It's garbage. Come up with a solution. You are going to solve the problems in the future, so give us some solutions. What do you know in your obviously far vast intelligence, far beyond us? What do you know that we do not know already? This shouldn't be that much a surprise. They're kids. I mean, they are kids. Finally, why are these kids in Washington, D.C.? Go to China. Go to India. Go to Brazil. Go to Bangladesh. Go to Pakistan. Go to Sri Lanka. Currently, right now, China and India, at this very moment, China and India are producing more CO2 emissions than the United States. China by almost 3 times as much. And why? Because the United States has already cut their emissions. China and India, who are the 1 and 2, have doubled and tripled their emissions. Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I know why they don't go. First off, they'd have to take a plane there, which would cause more global warming. And the second reason, which isn't all that relevant, they'd go to jail! They would be thrown in jail for going against the government. And I find it ironic that these kids are screaming about the Green New Deal, which is about nothing more than socialism. They're screaming that we need a socialist government here, and meanwhile, China is a socialist economy. And they produce 3 times the amount of CO2 emissions in the United States. We won't even talk about the pollution that is going into the oceans. I got news for you. Send these kids, send them to Italy. Send them to Venice. They can go out there and they can smell the sewage that is in the Venice Canal. They can smell how the United States is not dumping crap into our rivers compared to other countries. I'm sure we're dumping something. It's just garbage. Okay, so just seeing this minuscule protest, there are a couple of things we can learn from this. One, kids are dumb. Their prefrontal cortexes in their brains are not developed, which is why they are so emotional and can't reason for crap. Heck, if we based voting on prefrontal cortex, they wouldn't be voting till about between 25 and 28. 2, they shouldn't be voting. You want an argument for that? See the above statement. 3, they do not have any idea how good they have it. These kids who probably have $1,000 iPhones that have cracked screens in their back pocket, ready to take a selfie and then post it on Instagram, appreciate nothing. I have a tough life. I've been through a Cold War. Okay? I appreciate everything I have. And I've grown to love this country far more. Finally, our kids are brainwashed. Our public schools are indoctrinating them. Our news media is confirming the indoctrination. And Hollywood is bringing emotional confirmation. This is a process. This is a process of the left. And we really need to break that process. So you can see I'm watching this stuff and I don't take it very serious. But you got to take it serious because this is where we're heading. But this wasn't the worst of the weekend. Let's talk about Greta Thunberg. Now, let me give you a little thing about Greta Thunberg. And I know some people may listen and say, oh, you're treating a child like she's just terrible. Greta Thunberg is up for a Nobel Peace Prize. So let's not get crazy about Greta Thunberg, okay? She may be only 16 years old. She may have OCD. She may have Asperger's syndrome, which is a high-level functioning form of autism. But I am sick and tired of hearing this gal talk. And because I've heard kids talk about this gal as if she's some authority, as if she's coming up with something that's really special. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to sit back and we're going to listen to her entire speech in front of the UN. And we're not going to mention that she has an opera singer for a mother. We're not going to mention that she has an actor and a director for a father. We're not going to mention she has an actor and a director for a grandfather. Yes, I am going to mention that. And the reason I'm going to mention that is because this is a privileged human being. She is not someone who is sitting in the streets wondering where she's going to get her next meal or if the cold is going to kill her for the next morning. So we are going to destroy this little girl's argument. And some people may say, well, that's cruel. You can't do that with a kid. Yeah, I can. Because here's what the left is doing. The left is using children to make their arguments because they know that the right is not going to use children or destroy the arguments of children and be cruel. You can see my argument as cruel, and it's really not. It has nothing to do with cruelty. It has to do with reason, logic, and we can't ignore this stuff anymore. So here we go. This is Greta Thunberg from Sweden, screaming and crying. And trust me, you need to see the video if you haven't already seen it. It's been all over the internet. This one really bothered me, so I did it anyway. This is Greta Thunberg. Visit Dumbasses Talking Politics if you want to see a whole video. Here we go.
My message is that we'll be watching you.
Everyone laughed at this, but, so what? Who are you that I should care what you think? Or I should care that you're going to sit there and monitor me? This chick needs to understand something right off the bat. Let me rephrase it. Understand something. This kid has some serious developmental issues. Asperger's and OCD. This is not a well child. I probably believe her decision making is not that great. And her sitting back and saying, I'm going to be watching you, doesn't mean anything. So let's just say you don't approve of something I'm doing. Who cares? What are you going to do? Educate me. And we're going to see through this entire conversation, she doesn't say anything that's educational. I hope to God that, one day she'll grow up and she will learn something.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. And yet I'm one of the lucky ones.
Your parents stole your childhood and your dreams, whatever that means. Filling your head with this freaking climate garbage. I don't look at a 16-year-old for hope. So I don't know where she's saying, will you come to us children? No, I don't go to a child. When I'm short of money in my bank account, I don't go to my kid and say, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is crap. This is absolute crap. And this is where the child abuse comes into play. And I think these kids need to understand something. Something really crazy. They're not that important. They've done nothing in life. And that doesn't mean they're not going to do something in life, but it means they have to understand their place. And I got news for you. She is right. She is privileged. And the reason she's privileged? They're rich. These people came over to the United States in a very large sailboat. They didn't have to fly. They had the resources. This is where this chick is not getting it. And she's not getting it because she can't get it. She's just not capable of getting it. An infuriating statement. And what's going to get infuriating is she repeats it. She continually repeats it. Okay, I'm good. Let's move on.
People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
People have been suffering well before now, and they are going to continue to suffer. They have suffered through all of human history. That's life. Some people have something, some people don't. As far as the fantasy of the economy, that's an awesome quote. I tell you what, it's such an awesome quote. She should take her iPhone out of her back pocket and post it to Instagram right now, or Twitter, or whatever. Here's the thing. Economy makes things better. Sorry, you don't have to believe it, but it does. The same economy, the same free market economy that allowed this little girl to go on a boat all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to show up at New York. Because her parents, guess what, were well off because of a good economy. So frustrating. And at this point, she's actually crying. And I think she's crying for a reason. I think she really is crying. I think she's really hurting. I think she believes her BS.
For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight?
Couple of things. Do you notice that the crowd is clapping, cheering, blah, blah, blah? She has really said nothing substantial so far. It's all been from emotion. It's all been, I hate you people, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, if you go to Daily Wire, they got a great article about how she may lose. She is the front runner for the Nobel Prize for Peace. She may lose it because she's insulted too many people. And I believe that because I don't think she cares. But here's the thing. Outside of these idiots clapping for her, using her as a shield, because people like me are not supposed to say anything about her because she's a little kid. I don't give a damn if she's a little kid. She's making a political statement. I'm going to confront her. If she's got any type of pull, I've got to say something. That's what we need to start doing. So let's go back into what she said. The science is not clear. The report she talks about, the ICC report that was handed to the United Nations, is not clear at all. As a matter of fact, the ICC report had like 25 different scenarios, and the one that she's quoting is the worst of the scenarios. We're going to die in 10 years. So to sit back and say the science is clear is crap. Climate is constantly changing. They have no idea what's happening. They even said that by the end of the 21st century, we're going to be in an ice age again. So she's full of garbage here. And by the way, that's just a kid. And by the way, she never quotes any of the science. She just says, according to the science. No, she's basing this on the ICC report that was turned into the UN.
You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency. But no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe. The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. 50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate justice.
Again, her scientific points here are pointing to one model, the worst case scenario. And there seems to be some real issues with this gal understanding what the hell's going on. She doesn't point out the scenario that two Nobel Prize winning economists pointed out, that if climate change or heating or any kind of change would not happen till the end of the 21st century or around 2100. She doesn't point out that all we would need to do to fix the problem is go in and spend 4% GDP for each country in the world to fix the problem. And what these economists did was they averaged out all of the climate models. They found that what would actually happen, and they went with that. They won a Nobel Prize. And here's the thing. I don't think the Nobel Committee actually read any of this stuff. So why doesn't anyone mention this? Is it possible that maybe this whole climate thing is a little bit exaggerated? How about this? I don't think we're going to be dead in 12 years. I'm thinking it probably is. Do I think that man-made climate change is there? Of course, we've got over 7 billion people in the world. I'd hate to believe that. I hate to think that we're stupid enough to believe we're not having some effect on climate. But when she sits there and starts talking about science and people are ignoring it and blah, no, people aren't ignoring it. People are winning Nobel Prizes because of it. And we don't have to end an economic system because you're paranoid.
They also rely on my generation sucking hundreds of billions of tons of your CO2 out of the air with technologies that barely exist. So a 50% risk is simply not acceptable to us, we who have to live with the consequences. How dare you pretend that this can be solved with just business as usual and some technical solutions?
Two things here. The science just doesn't back her up. So, yes, if you're going to use the model that the one model of the 25 from the ICC report, yeah, okay, that makes sense. The other is, it's not the only model, so move on. And finally, she's not coming up with a solution. There's no solution! And I don't expect a solution with her. And maybe I need to do this. Because she's 16 years old! She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's using emotion. Because she's only 16 years old.
With today's emissions levels, that remaining CO2 budget will be entirely gone within less than 8.5 years. There will not be any solutions or plans presented in line with these figures here today, because these numbers are too uncomfortable and you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us, but the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you.
She's losing her audience here because they already know that what she's saying is not exactly correct. We've been hearing the same stats since the 70s, and she's just repeating those stats. And those stats they don't even make sense. She's losing people. And you can tell. I actually included the smattering of applause. And here's the other thing. Who cares if you forgive us? Does that really mean something? You have a ton of advantage. And I'm playing identity politics and things like that here. But she has a ton of advantage. Who is she to sit back and say, I'll forgive you or not forgive you? You're a 16-year-old punk. That's it. Nothing more. And I know she's got autism and she's a kid and she's got OC. I don't care. You're nothing but a punk. A privileged little punk. You rode a mommy and daddy sailboat to get to New York because you don't want to fly in a plane because a plane, I don't know, spews things, whatever. And by the way, this is where she may have lost her Nobel Peace Prize because people are getting a little tired of being insulted by a 16-year-old little punk who should be in school in Sweden. This, I can't even say it right now.
We will not let you get away with this. Right here, right now, is where we draw the line. The world is waking up, and change is coming whether you like it or not. Thank you.
Considering the applause she got before, this wasn't good. People were like, who the hell are you? These are all people at the UN. They believe in the client science. And the reason they believe in the client science is because they want to eliminate capitalism. But the problem is she is so off-putting that people are looking like, are you talking down to me? I'm a 50-year-old, whatever I am, ambassador at the UN, and you're talking down to me? She lost a lot of love from the climatologists at the UN. And here's the thing. Here's the whole thing. First off, 1, child abuse. She was right. She should have been over the sea going to school. And she's probably going to need a lot of help. If you look at the video at dumbassestalkingpolitics.com, you can see she looks insane. She doesn't look normal. She looks evil. And she's not. She's just autistic. And it's child abuse what's happening to this gal. Child abuse. Her parents have filled her with so much crap that I think she believes she's going to die in 12 years. This is terrible. And her parents are there. It's not like she... Here's the thing. She's a kid. She's 16 years old. When my kids used to scream and cry, I used to shut them off and just not even listen to them. This is what we should be doing now. These kids are screaming, yelling, pounding their feet. And I've done it in this podcast twice. I'm not going to do it again because I think it's kind of annoying. But we need to ignore them or treat them for what they are. They're kids. They're little kids. They're 16-year-olds. They have no say. You can sit there and scream emotionally, say we're all going to die in 12 years, blah, 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 blah. There's no reason in their arguments because they don't have the prefrontal cortex to be able to give you a reasonable argument. So you take it for what it was. But I will tell you one thing. This, watching her speak was really hard. It was really hard. And the reason it was really hard, and this is an emotional argument, okay? The reason it was really hard is like, why are you feeling this way? Why are you so pissed off? Now, half of her speech, I was pissed off because I was like, who the hell are you? You're nothing. You're 16 years old. You've accomplished nothing in your life. Why should I listen to you? And why are you just restating problems and using emotion to restate the problems? Why don't you give me some solutions? She can't give solutions because she's 16. Just like the 17-year-old and the 11-year-old in the past videos can't do it. Because they don't understand how to solve any problems. Because they don't have a developed reason. They don't have any, they can't do it. They got really fast reflexes. They can beat the crap out of me in a video game, but they don't know how to reason. She would not see President Trump. And President Trump basically trolled her on the internet. I don't really care about that. And he should have. And he didn't say anything really bad. And she took it and she used what he said and she used it as her profile name. But the reality is, there's no arguing. Why didn't she talk to Trump about this? She thinks the United States is so bad. And by the way, why isn't she in China? Why isn't she in India making these arguments? Why is she in the United States? She didn't need to take a frickin' boat to China or India. She didn't take it because the United States won't throw her in frickin' jail. The United States won't throw acid in her eyes. And by the way, that was not China or India. That was one of the Middle Eastern countries. But the reality is, her word would have been completely rejected in those worlds. And by the way, they are the ones that are committing the worst atrocities when it comes to climate change. So let's get this whole thing. David Hogg, Greta Thunberg, all these other idiots. They're idiots because at that age, they're idiots. That's what they are. My kids were idiots at that age too. Hey, well, I have one kid who is an idiot. Well, I have two kids who are idiots way beyond that age. You take what they have to say with a grain of salt. You can follow me on Twitter at RunninFool, RUNNINFEWL. Please visit the show notes at www.dumbassestalkingpolitics.com. You can watch all of the videos there. And you can download or listen to this podcast at Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Podcast Addict, or YouTube. The link for the YouTube channel will be in the notes. This is Gene, and you've listened to Dumbasses Talking Politics.